Not to sledge a hog, but as we enter the 9th installment of this racing franchise, I still can't reconcile something about it. If Sonic can leg it to lightspeed wearing nothing but a pair of red kicks, then why does he even need a car? Is all this unlocking of car parts truly necessary? Can he not just hop his lazy ass out the car, do a spin dash, and run literal rings around the competition? Team Sonic Racing is the furry equivalent of Usain Bolt in a mobility scooter racing against pensioners. It's never really made sense to me. Now, before we proceed any further, I should like to point out that if you're not a fan of commentary, I absolutely get where you're coming from. And if you look in the description, you'll see a link to a 4K video that basically does entire World 1/Chapter 1 of the story mode. And it's done on expert difficulty, no less. By all means, scroll down, click on that, and enjoy. Anyway, what Team Sonic Racing represents is a much-needed turbo boost in confidence for people like me, a 25-year fan of the blue dude with the tood. This game represents a win for Sega's beloved mascot and is in dire need of one ever since that live-action makeover reveal. Essentially, you're about to turn the ignition on a version of 2012's Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed that lacks the fancy reconfiguring vehicles, and the roster here draws solely from Sonic canon instead of Sega's entire catalogue. Team Sonic Racing is a game obsessed with threes. Teams of 3 characters, who themselves are divided into 3 classes, race and work together towards the checkered flag by sharing and caring as much as possible. And I gotta be honest with you, while I dig the game now, I sure didn't like it after my first race with Sonic. Having my victories be conditioned upon 2 AI teammates that need to keep pace, or 2 other human players in either split screen or online multi, kinda got my spiky little back up, a little bit. I just don't like carrying people like luggage, or having my failures compounded by unlucky teammates. If you're the same, it's going to take you some time to warm to this game, because the team conceit in the title isn't lying. It's very much get along and win, or rage quit and you can get your speed fix somewhere else. Aside from some solo racer, skill-based games sprinkled throughout the main team adventure mode, the bulk of racing always lumps you with 2 allies that are specialised into certain racing styles. As an example, Team Sonic is made up of, you guessed it, Sonic the Speed type, who's all about maximum miles per hour. He's flanked by Tails the Technique type, who handles like a dream, can skirt over grass, and he accelerates like a cat woken up by a vacuum cleaner. Lastly, the bruiser of this group is Knuckles the Power type, who putters along, has nastier weaponry, and he can just bash straight through obstacles. All told, there are 5 race teams out here to use. Team Dark, Team Amy, Team Vector, and Team Eggman. I think this sequel gets off to a flying turbo start early, thanks to a better story campaign than its predecessor, and this can be tackled with 3 players. Unlike the linear affair that was Sonic All-Stars, Team Adventure lets you pick, choose, and unlock events on a 2D world map. Earning medals and nailing skill-based side objectives will earn you stars to progress through 7 chapters of a pretty threadbare narrative. It's all Sunday morning cartoon stuff, delivered via static screens and excitable voiceover. Admittedly, it's pretty pedestrian storytelling that ends in a whimper and will be forgotten the second it disappears into your rearview mirror. Fortunately though, the racing itself is quite decent and is more than enough to keep you from veering off course and into other games. Team Adventure has maybe 8 hours worth of content in it, and that's only if you want to hit the end credits with 70 odd stars out of a possible 142. The longevity doubles here when you consider each race and GP in this mode effectively has to be run twice in order to unlock expert difficulty, and that's a system I'm not really a fan of. The overall runtime also expands due to the fact that you'll need to angrily restart some events due to the odd underperforming AI pal. Because I can tell you now, there is no use blasting through and taking the gold if your overall standings are getting weighed down constantly by Tails in 10th and Knuckles in 12th place. There are ways to mitigate this. I found that instead of using my weaponry for myself, on expert difficulty I was more or less forced to just spam the share function that teleports your power-ups down the line to your pals. When they're strapping, they will definitely place better in the grid, but the real reason you'll be generous to them is to siphon a reward of Team Ultimate Energy. When you earn one of these and trigger it at the same time, which requires some verbal communication amongst human players, this ludicrously OP invincibility mode will last longer and it'll make you go faster. Understandably then, Drifting skillfully, busting out stunts, collecting rings, and running over boost pads on the track soon takes a major backseat to just hoarding ultimate energy. And you can earn it in a few ways too, like skim boosting, which is essentially near missing a spun out ally to pick them up. There's also slingshot drafting, a la Ricky Bobby and Cal Norton in Talladega Nights. You'll soon realise that ultimates can become such a table turner, you'll start to unquestionably follow the long yellow trail set out by the front runner in your team, just to siphon energy. And that's even if they're an idiot who takes shortcuts off the map. Chances are you're going on the same trip. Now, for the most part, I like the addition of the team system, but I think more time was needed under the hood to tune it to perfection. There were times when I just had my racing line or perfect 3-stage drift ruined by a teammate who cut in front of me with the team trail. The sudden change in speed would either throw me off track or punch me into an obstacle. Also, I'm not an inherently greedy person, but I do like being able to use weapons in kart races, and so I didn't really like having to handle my toys all the time just to win. And while we're on the topic of power-ups, it has to be said that Sega changing the weapon iconography to wisp creatures negatively affects new players trying to learn what each of these 14 power-ups do. This issue is compounded by the developer deciding to dial back the traditional Sonic All-Stars commentator, who used to gleefully identify what weapon you just picked up. Other things that chap my exhaust include non-savable replays, and at its peak, Sonic All-Stars had 15 odd races to use from the get-go, but that expanded to 24 with unlocks. Now, I'm not seeing much room here for unlocks in this game, and as of completing the game on a respectable difficulty, I've not seen any competitors offered. I'm hoping there's more in there, but we'll have to see. In truth, all of my kleptomania was geared, literally, towards unlocking performance parts, paints, vinyls, and all of these get dispensed randomly via capsules and are paid for by race tokens. This carrot kept me coming back until I lucked out and unlocked all 9 unique parts for my main man Sonic by about halfway through the story. And I just stopped caring after that point. Pursuing further vinyls and paint schemes didn't rekindle my interest either. The best parts in the game are legendary spec, and they come with an uneditable gold colour. In order to pimp my ride out further and make it pretty, I'd need to downgrade my stats. I'm not going to do that. Feels like a bit of a design misstep. But be those downsides as they may, Team Sonic Racing has got it where it counts when it comes to good old-fashioned 4-player split screen and online racing. And this is assuming you have the right people to back you up. The verbal requirement to actually communicate and collaborate towards a team victory makes this a heck of a party game. I can confirm that it generated more noise in my living room than our usual Mario Kart 8 sessions. This is a more complex kart racer than most, however, which means it's slightly less pick up and play for casual multiplayers. That said, it's still a blast with a group of people who have a few races under their belt. My only gripe with local play is that it flat out refuses to let 4 people share a screen on the same team. One of you has to be this outcast paired with a rival AI group. Now, surely it wouldn't have killed the mechanics to allow 3 teams of 4 races instead of 4 teams of 3 races. Once again, needlessly obtuse game design that needlessly ruins the fun. Anyway, when the checkered flag dropped on my time with Team Sonic Racing, it's still placed respectably high. Sumo Digital has delivered a podium finish that's definitely higher than its predecessor. Mind you, it's also facing some stiff competition this year in the form of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. That rivalry's too close to call right now though, because the race is still being run. But with that said, if you've absolutely gotta go fast today, then this definitely warrants a purchase. That's basically all I have to say about Team Sonic Racing. Once again, be sure to check the description down below if you just want straight 4K gameplay, expert difficulty, no blah blah from me, and I'm pretty sure there's enough there for anybody to make up their own mind on the game. Anyway, once again and as always, I want to thank you for stopping by. See you next time.